Welcome back. We're here for part 3 of the mini Geode resin tutorial. In the first portion, we covered the crystal foundation. We put down the quartz crystals as well as the acrylic ice chips and the rock salt, giving us a little depth and texture. And in part 2, we did our gold, chunky, glitter lined, and did a border of the gilded brass mica. Now that is all dry, we are going on to part 3. We are going to do our glitter opal. That'll be our transition color coming out of the gold and going into our blue. So here we have Rolio's Deep Sea Blue. It's a nice royal blue color, really deep and rich. And we'll be accenting that with the chunky blue glitter. Same tools as last time. We are using these silicone cups and we are reusing our wooden spatulas just to cut back on waste and recycling, and also our silicone spatula. So in this portion we are using the same silicone cups. We're going to measure about 40 milliliters of resin. That's 20 for part B and 20 for part A. And once we have that mixed, I mixed it off the camera, we'll go ahead and use our glitter opal. We're using a small bit of this, and this is going to be laid over the gold mica line. And here you can see I'm pouring just a little bit in here, maybe 10 milliliters or less than that. Now later on in the video you'll see there is a little bit left over, and we will use that to use our blue chunky glitter and lay that in. So like we've done with all the other layers, we are going to go very, very slowly. And this, I am showing you this in real time just to give you a sense of just how slow we're going to go. Again, when you are doing your layers of resin, it's best to do very thin lines and to go very slowly. That will give you more control over where the flow of the resin is going, and you can manipulate it a little bit better when you are moving slower and doing smaller lines. And once I'm done with this side, I will go and flip it to the other end, and the other end will speed up that portion a little bit. And just like I've done before, I like to have my resin go off of the edge of the canvas just to give it that continuous flow look to the painting. So I'll go just a little bit overboard, and here's where I'm speeding up the video. As you can tell, I'm going back and forth with very, very tiny lines, not doing a lot. And that's where I put in my blue glitter. The rest of that will go on after I lay down the deep sea mica, which is this nice royal blue. Now I feel like at this point you guys have a gist of how things flow and work with resin. I've said before, going slowly is best. So I'm just speeding up this portion of the video just to give us a little bit of time back. And I will be covering the whole bottom portion of this with the blue, continuing that same pattern, going over the edge, having that continuous flow look, and then pouring out the resin. Just doing a little bit of manipulating of the color. And then we're going to go ahead and do the other end. Now, something I did not mention before is that with doing resin paintings, it's important to have different shades of colors. So for this painting, I decided at this point I like the blue, but I did want a little bit more of a deeper blue towards the corner. So in this part, of course I'm spreading it along, trying to get it where I want it positioned and to spread in some parts of the canvas. But I'll also later on add a couple drops of black alcohol ink. And this alcohol ink is to tint it slightly. It won't be super noticeable, but it will add a little bit of texture again and depth into the painting. And with anything when it comes to resin, if you are adding a color or if you're trying to make a darker shade, go a little bit at the time. So here I'm dropping about 3 drops in it every so often, mixing, seeing if I like the color, and then continuing to do that until I am satisfied. And again, the way that I have learned to do resin art is to create with one color and then do variations of that color in terms of shading. You can go lighter, you can go darker, but essentially the best kind of resin paintings only use one color. Once you get into more, once you're more comfortable with doing resin art, then of course you can transition to other colors. Not just one central color. And as I had looked in before, the glitter opal that I mixed earlier, I'm still using that same mix, and I am just adding the chunky blue glitter to it. Now, interesting enough, it creates almost its own color. It has a little bit of a tealish blue, and the glitter kind of sparkles and brings out even more of that depth. So it looks really cool when you look at it up close. And the way I've laid it, I've just laid it in between that line of demarcation, between the darker shade of blue and then the regular shade of blue. And then just adding a little glitter to the corner. And I am manipulating a few pieces of glitter that are out of place. And that pretty much is it. That covers our third installment of this tutorial. I'll bring you guys a little bit closer so you can see a little more detail. Now what happens is with resin, since we've laid this down, it'll push some of the layers. The clear will push some of the blue. The glitter will push a little bit of the dark blue, and it'll create some interesting dynamics and shadows. And that is what is so captivating about the colors and looking at it. When you look at it from this perspective, you're looking to see the depth, and you can kind of see that where the clear and the blue meet. That clear is pushing up against that blue. Gravity is taking over, and it's creating a nice little shadow effect, which is really cool. And that covers the third portion, so we're almost done. Next steps, we will do a couple little paint lines, not a ton, and then we'll put our top coat on. And once that all dries, I'll show you exactly what to do on the back of the canvas. So, thank you again for joining. Thank you for watching and learning with me. I hope to see you in part 4.